योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्।
Namaskar. Myself, Professor Dr. Preeti Mayani from Gujarat University, HRDC Department. I am welcoming you all in the behalf of HRDC Gujarat University in the first online Guru Dakshata program. Friends, we are running this online program very smoothly, and I'm sure that you are definitely enjoying this teaching learning process. So we have today another eminent personality with all of us, Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt. So I'm welcoming you, Mamta ji, and all the participants of this Guru Dakshata program. I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt among all of us. Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt is a very good friend and resource person of Gujarat University, HRDC. She is having more than 20 years of academic experience, and at present she is serving as associate professor in quantitative techniques and research methods area at BK School of Business Management, Gujarat University. Prior to joining here, she was associated with National Institute of Cooperative Management, Gandhinagar, as assistant professor. She has completed her PhD in banking management, and she has published papers in several major international and national research journals. Her research papers have also been presented in several international and national conferences as well. Few research papers have received Best Research Paper awards. Her publication includes 130 plus published research papers and 23 books. She has also attended AICTE sponsored FDP organized by NITIE Mumbai and capacity building program organized by ICSSR at Udaipur and international research workshop on data analytic organized by Geddu College of Business Studies, Royal University of Bhutan. Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt established R&D cell at institute and conducted many programs under R&D cell with various departments of Gujarat University. She has special expertise in data analysis and statistical methods. She has been actively involved in teaching, training, and research for over 20 years. Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt has delivered expert sessions on research methods and SPSS and got engaged in various academic in 28 different universities, institutions, namely National Institution of Fashion Technology, Gandhinagar, KCG, Gujarat National Law University, and many precious universities across the India. She is the coordinator of postgraduate diploma in international business and postgraduate diploma in research methodology for management academy of BKSBM, Gujarat University. She was also the coordinator for integrated MOU programs, namely postgraduate program in management, computer application and computer science. Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt has been invited by 28 different universities for various academic, professional achievements and progress. During the course of her academic journey, she has been awarded for Best Research Paper Award 17 times She was selected for Jewel of India Award by Economic Growth Society of India. She is the recipient of National Education Award for the Best Professor in Operation Management and Education Leadership Award for Divang Mehta National Education and Teaching Excellence Award by Higher Education Forum Gujarat chapter. So friends, let's put our hands together to welcome Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt जी. मुझे पूरा यकीन है कि ममता ब्रह्मभट्ट जी के साथ हमारा ये सेशन बहुत अच्छा रहेगा और हमारी ये टीचिंग लर्निंग और हमारे जो अनुभव में हमें जो बढ़ावा चाहिए वो उनके साथ इस सेशन में हमें 100% मिलेगा. So friends, on behalf of HRDC Gujarat University, I would like to welcome again Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt ji and all the participants of Guru Dakshata program.
Before I start my session, I need to share my screen. So allow me a few seconds for that. This is Dr. Mamta Brahmbhatt, Associate Professor from BK School of Business Management, Gujarat University, welcoming you all to my first session of Guru Dakshata Faculty Induction Program. In my today's session, I am going to discuss about hypothesis testing methods. So let us start with the session. Hypothesis testing. This first session of hypothesis testing, I have divided into two parts. In the first part, we will discuss basics of research and statistics, and in second section, I will discuss concept of hypothesis testing. What are the learning objectives of this session? Upon completion of this session, participant will be able to understand what is population and sample, what is population parameter and sample statistics, what do I mean by descriptive statistics and what is inferential statistics, what is sampling, what is data, types of data, what is variable, types of variable, measurement scale, and I'll introduce the concept of hypothesis. So moving on further, let us start with the first terminology, that is population and sample. Population is nothing but it is the whole, a collection of persons, object or items under the research study. Sample is a portion of that whole. When I'm saying that the population, you can say the population, it is the entire study. The sample, it is a subset of that population. Population study, 99.99% research scholar, they are not involved themselves into population due to lack of time, energy and budget. So most of the time, social science researchers involve themselves in doing the sample study. So let me take an example for this. Say for an example, my research question or my research objective is that I want to study the library going habits of commerce graduates. I don't know how many colleges are affiliated to Gujarat University as far as the commerce stream is concerned. So I'm randomly assuming one number. There are 50 colleges affiliated to Gujarat University for commerce stream. In these colleges, every year 100 students get admission. So if I multiply this 50 colleges by 100 students, I'll get 5,000 numbers. If I include each and every student or all the students of all the colleges for asking the questions like about what is their library going habits, so then I'm talking about population. This 5,000, it is the population value for me. Normally, surveying 5,000, it is difficult. It is time consuming. We don't have budget. Government projects, sponsored project, you have budget. But when we are doing this kind of a study for our research purpose, the budget is the main constraint. We don't have budget, and that's why we can go for a sample study. So out of 5,000 students, if I select from each college is 50 students, from each college is 50 students, then 50 colleges and 50 students, it is multiplied. 2,500. But that is again a big number. So I can say that from all 50 colleges, I will be selecting only 10 students. So 50 colleges multiplied by 10 students, I'll get 500. This 500 is nothing but this sample. So when you are doing the population study, you are including each and every unit of your research question. When I'm doing a sample study, I'm selecting the subset of a population. So rather than studying 5,000 students from common stream, I will be studying only 500 students. So this 500 student, it is known as sample. Moving on further, what is population parameter and sample statistics? Parameter is a descriptive measure of population and it is usually represented by Greek letters. Sample statistic is a descriptive measure of sample and it is usually represented by Roman letters. Population parameter, it is a characteristics of population. So when I'm studying the 5,000 students from all the colleges, and if I'm asking them the question, how many hours in a day they are studying, then this particular question will be answered by all 5,000 students. So once I'll get the response, what I'll do, I'll enter these responses of all 5,000 students in my Excel sheet or in any other software. Like number of hours studied by the student, roll number 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, so on. If I'll enter all 5,000 students entry in any X software or in Excel, I can get the total. After doing total, if I'm dividing this number total by 5,000 students, I will get an average. What is this average? This average is not X bar. This average, it is mu. It is population parameter value. This is population mean. So anything you are calculating on the basis of the entire population information, it is known as the population parameter. So if I am getting the average, like the population parameter or the population mean value of this, it is around, say for an example, 8 hours. Clear? So this is what? This is my central value. Not necessarily that all the students they are studying 8 hours. There are students they are studying less than 8, say for an example 4 hours. So these students they are deviating from the central value 8. There are students those who are studying for 10 hours also. So this 10 hours number is also deviating from 8 hours. So this is called deviation. So population parameter values are calculated on the basis of population. Population parameter values, it is based on the all the units of population, mu, sigma, sigma square, that is population mean, population variance and population standard deviation, and capital N. These are the characteristics of population and that's why they are known as the population parameter values. I will repeat one more time: capital N, mu, population mean, sigma, population standard deviation, sigma square, population variance. These are the characteristics of population because they are calculated on the basis of entire population information. So they are known as population parameter values. What is sample statistics then? Instead of studying entire 5,000 students, I will be selecting only 500 students. And if I'll enter the data of all 500 students in my Excel, I can get the total. If I divide this total by 500 students, I'll get the average number of hours studied by the students. And this average, it is nothing but it is X bar because it is calculated on the basis of sample. So any information you are calculating on the basis of sample information, it is known as a sample statistics. X bar, it is sample mean. S, it is a sample standard deviation. S square, sample variance. Small n, these are the characteristics of the sample. So X bar, S, S square, small n, it is known as sample statistics. So I think this concept is clear to you. What is parameter and what is statistics? Any calculation you are performing on the basis of the entire population, then that terminology or that answer or that calculation, it is known as population parameter. If you are applying any technique, any calculation on the sample information, the resultant value, it is known as a sample statistics. Sample statistics are represented or denoted by Roman letters, while population parameter values are denoted by Greek letters. Now, What is descriptive and inferential statistics? There are two branches of statistics, descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Students or research scholar, they have that need that inferential statistics are more powerful. They give lot of managerial implication to discuss. No, it's not the case. Both descriptive statistics and inferential statistics are equally important when you are conducting the research. What is descriptive statistics? As the name suggests, descriptive statistics is describing the facts and figures. Descriptive statistics give numerical and graphical representation to summarize the collection of a data in a clear and understandable way. In descriptive statistics, I am not making any assumption. Without assumption, we are carried out something, we are doing calculation and we are reporting that calculation. So reporting X bar, reporting sample standard deviation, what is skewness, what is maximum minimum range of a data. Clear? This is nothing but it is a descriptive statistics which are describing the data. So under the descriptive statistics, there is no assumption involved. What is inferential statistics? Inferential statistics, it is always with an assumption. Under the inferential statistics, we are making the assumption about the population parameter value. Now it is very much clear to you what is population parameter, which I have just now covered. So under the inferential statistics, it is the procedure to draw inferences about the population from the sample. Population, it is unknown, and that's why we are making the assumption and we are comparing this population parameter value, that is assumed value, with our calculated value. Now calculated value comes from where? Calculated value comes from our sample. So our sample information or sample data gives the calculated value, and assumed value, it is for population. We are comparing these two and we are making the inferences for a entire population. So in nutshell, in descriptive statistics, there is no hypothesis. In inferential statistics, it is always about the hypothesis testing. What is sampling? Now, almost we are doing the sample survey. 99.99% social science researcher, they are involving themselves for the sample survey. Now, when you want to do a sample survey, you need to select a sample unit from the population. How to select your sample unit from the population? It is known as that method, the technique, it is known as the sampling technique. Sampling technique can be broadly classified into two categories, like probability-based sampling techniques and non-probability based sampling techniques, which will be discussed later on. Now, what is data? Now, data, you can say it is nothing but it is the unprocessed information. Clear? Data, you can say it is a fact, it is number, it are words, they are observation, they are measurements, they are collected together for making the references or analysis. Clear? So data, it is unprocessed, and that data can be divided into two categories. It is a qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data consists of attributes, labels, or non-numerical entries, while quantitative data includes the numerical measurements of the counts. So you can say that the qualitative data, it is subjective. Quantitative data, you can quantify. Now, cross-sectional data and time series data. Cross-sectional data are collected at the same or approximately same point in time, while time series data are collected over several time periods. Most of the time, PhD students, they are using cross-sectional data. Now, one more types of the data like univariate data, bivariate data, multivariate data. What is univariate data? When you study a single variable, it is called the univariate data, like reporting X bar, standard deviation, maximum and minimum value, what is the range. This is nothing but it is a univariate data. Bivariate data, it is involving the two variables together. So cross tabulation, it is nothing but it is a bivariate data analysis. Multivariate analysis, we are using more than two variables. So you can say that multiple regression could be the multivariate data. What is variable? A variable is defined as anything that has a quantity or quality that varies. Age could be the variable. Gender could be the variable. Income could be the variable. So if I'll ask the age of the respondent, I'll not get the similar answer. Respondent 1 age could be 13, respondent 2 could be 18, respondent 3 could be 42, respondent 4 can be 65 years old. Clear? So age, it is the variable which is going to vary. Variable can be of many types like independent variable and dependent variable. Independent variable, they are manipulated or controlled by the researcher. Independent variable is exactly what it sounds like. It is not changed by any other variable. The value of the independent variable cannot be changed by any other variable. This is called independent variable. Dependent variable, it is a response value. They are dependent on independent variable. So when you are doing the another branch of a statistics, that is a relational based the statistic, that time independent dependent variable can be studied. There are many other variables like moderating variable, mediating variable. We will discuss all this type of variable in the advanced stage. Levels of data measurement. Now, why there is a need to measure? First of all, whenever you are conducting the research, you are going to quantify the variables. And variables can be quantified in different ways. There are different methods in which you can quantify, you can measure your variable. Let me take a very simple example that your director wants to know that whether you are teaching in the class or not. Clear? He wants to check the efficiency of the faculty, and for that he needs to measure something, that whether the faculty they are teaching in the class. Okay. For that, to measure this particular activity, he can go for different ways. Like he can appoint the student coordinator or class coordinator, and every day the class coordinator will report to the director, yes, that so and so faculty teaching in the class. Second, all the colleges now they are equipped with the webcams, or the cameras are installed. So with the camera, director can watch that yes, my faculty they are teaching in the class. Yeah. All of a sudden the director can come on the round, and then he can justify yes, all the faculties of mine they are teaching in the class. So to quantify or to check whether particular faculty is teaching in the class or not, there are different ways. Camera checking, student coordinator, he or her himself can come to the class and check. Similarly, when you want to quantify the variables, there are various methods available. There are different ways in which you can quantify the different variables. Yeah. And for that you must have the knowledge of level of data measurement scale. Data measurement scale can be broadly classified into four categories like nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal is the lowest level of measurement scale, while ratio is the highest level of measurement scale. As you move from nominal to ordinal, the characteristics of the previous scale, that is nominal, it is inbuilt in the ordinal. When you move from the ordinal to interval, the characteristics of the previous scale, like nominal and ordinal, are included in interval scale. So all the characteristics of nominal, ordinal, and interval, it is there in the ratio, and that's why the ratio is the most powerful measurement scale. What is nominal data scale? Nominal data values are nothing but it is used to classify or categorize. Clear? This nominal data set, it is used to identify. Say for an example, Mahendra Singh Dhoni's t-shirt number is 7. Clear? So with that 7, we can identify, yes, wherever he is standing in the stadium, we can identify, yes, this is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. This number 7, it is not deciding his batting position. Is it deciding? No, Mahendra Singh Dhoni is the opening batsman. So this 7 number, it is not deciding the rank or order of his batting, but it is just used for identification purpose. Yeah. So nominal data are used to classify, are used to identify, or to use, they are used for making the various categories. Like gender. I can divide gender into categories like male, female, transgender. Clear? Employment classification, skilled workers, semi-skilled workers, unskilled workers. Here I have given the code like 1, 2, and 3. This number 1, 2, and 3, it is not the rank, but it is just the code used for this employment classification. So when I'm assigning 1 to male and second number to female, it does not mean that the male are superior to female. And if female they consider this way, then I can make it male as 0 and female as 1. So these numbers associated with these categories are only used for making the categories. They are used for classification. They are used only for identification. Nothing then more than that. Clear? So these numbers 1, 2, and 3, they are not deciding the rank. So nominal scale data, it is used only for making the classification, or it is used for making the identification. Clear? Nominal scale could be like yes, no question. Are you aware about something? Yes or no. This 1 and 2 you are giving to yes and no. This is called nominal data. Moving on further, we have an ordinal label of data. Ordinal measurement scales, they are used to indicate the rank or order. We are from teaching and we know this order very well, like professor, associate professor, assistant professor, TRA. Clear? So when I'm saying one code to the professor, it includes rank. You can think over this professor, it is the highest position in the college. Associate professor, it is the below to professor, and assistant professor, it is a third category. So when I'm writing 1, 2, and 3 as associate professor, professor, or assistant professor or TRA, it is used for making the categories. Along with that, it includes the order of designation also. Similarly, I have taken one more example like position in the organization like president, vice president, manager, supervisor, and employee. I have used 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 numbers here. These numbers are used to make the classification, one thing. And second, it also shows the order. Like president has got the highest authority. Yes, an employee, they have got the highest responsibility. So president has got the highest ranking in the organizational structure, and employee has got the lowest ranking in the organization structure. So this ordinal numbers, this number signifies the rank or the order of the preference or the order of the preference. Let me give one more example like there are 3 students and the score of the students are 90 percentage, 80 percentage and 78 percentage. So you can say that the first ranker has got 90 percentage, second rank has got 80 percentage and third rank has got 78 percentage. Yeah. So on the basis of that percentage, I can assign the rank to them. But the difference between this rank, it is not equal. 90 minus 80 percentage, it is a difference of 10 percentage. And 80 minus 78 percentage, there is a difference of only 2 percentage. But then also that person has got the third position. Clear? So when I'm saying that the order, it is just the rank. It is an order of preference, not necessarily that equal distance it is followed. No, equal distance among these numbers are not, these numbers are not following the equal difference. Clear? So relative magnitude of number is meaningful and differences between the numbers are not comparable. Here, you cannot compare the difference because difference in the first rank and the second rank, it is 10 and the 2 percentage, 10% and 2 percentage, it is not comparable. So when I'm talking about the ordinal level of data measurement scale, I'm talking about the rank, I'm talking about the order of preference. Clear? So when I'm talking about the ordinal level, the characteristics of the nominal data, it is the classification, it is there. Yes, here this is based on the designation I have classified. This variable called designation, it is classified into 5 categories and the highest rank it is given to the president. The next level of scale, it is the interval level data. Here, the distance between the consecutive integers are equal. Relative magnitude of number is meaningful. Difference between the numbers are comparable. Location of origin is most important. Here, 0, it is arbitrary. 0 is not the starting point. So when I'm talking about the interval data, let me give an example. Like rate your level of satisfaction on 1 to 7 Likert scale, where 1 it is highly dissatisfied and 7 it is highly satisfied. Clear? So here this is the interval data scale. Difference between 7 minus 6 it is 1, 6 minus 5 it is 1, 4 minus 3 it is also 1. So distance between the consecutive intervals are equal. Now, one more thing, let me make it clear. Statisticians, they are considering this interval scale or the example which I have given as the ordinal scale, but social science researchers consider that feedback wala scale, which example which I have given as interval level scale. Many authors, they are saying that anything more than 5 labels, it is considered as interval level, and if you have only 3 labels, then it is considered as ordinal scale. So in social science researcher, if you see that the what is included under the interval level, obviously the Likert types of the questions are included under the interval level scale. But you cannot challenge this with the statisticians, because statisticians, they always believe that this is the ordinal scale. Now, one important thing when I'm saying that interval or the zero is arbitrary, take an example when I'm saying the temperature, it is 0. Temperature is 0. Do this variable called temperature, it is there in the existence? Yes, temperature, it is there in the existence. When I'm saying 0, that means there is a cold temperature. I may feel cold. Clear? When I'm saying 0, that doesn't mean that particular variable is not there in the existence. That is the meaning of the ratio. Okay. The last level of scale, it is the ratio level scale. Ratio has got the highest level of measurement. Relative magnitude of number is meaningful. Difference between the numbers are comparable, and here 0 is the starting point. Yeah. And that's why examples are like height, weight, volume. Many monetary variables such as profit, loss, revenue, and expenses is also a ratio table. When we are calculating certain ratio in accounting, like financial ratios or PE ratio, turnover ratio, quick ratio, these are also known as the ratio level scale. Now, when you move from nominal to ordinal to interval to ratio, power of doing the statistical treatment is increases. Yeah. So nominal and ordinal, they are used only for preparation of descriptive statistics. When you use interval and ratio along with the above two scale, you can do a lot of inferential statistics. So when your data includes only nominal and ordinal characteristics of data, then you can prepare graphs, and maximum you can do cross tabulation. So if you want to do a lot of statistical technique in your research, you should go for interval and ratio based scale in your analysis. Now, nominal and ordinal combinedly, I'm saying it is a categorical scale or categorical question. Interval and ratio combinedly, I'm saying it is a scale question. So these two things I will be using when I will discuss SPSS software. So let me repeat one more time. Nominal and ordinal combinedly, I'm saying it is a categorical question. Interval and ratio combinedly, I'm saying it is a scale question. Now, gender, it is nominal question. Yes, ordinal. Income of a group. Clear? Income, if you are dividing into categories like 10,000 to 20,000 income, 20,000 to 30,000, 30,000 to 40,000, and 40,000 to 50,000. Order of income, it is increasing. It is ordinal scale. Any kind of a Likert question, I am considering as an interval question. Ratio. Age of the respondent, you are not giving any category. Respondent themselves have to write their age, like age colon dash, I will enter my age. That is the ratio scale. Clear? Okay, moving on further, I have to start in my next session what is hypothesis testing. So here I will introduce what is hypothesis. Hypothesis, it is nothing but is an assumption. Assumption about what? It is an assumption about the population parameter. We will discuss this hypothesis concept detail in the next session of this course. Now it is time to recall the entire session. In today's session, we have covered what is population and sample, what is population parameter and sample statistics, what is descriptive statistics and inferential statistics, what is nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. Population, it is nothing but studying each and every unit for your research question. Sample is a subset of a population. Population parameter is any calculation you are performing on the entire population information, while sample statistic it is any calculation technique you are applying to sample. Descriptive statistics, it is describing the facts and figure and reporting that through frequency distribution or graph without any hypothesis. So under descriptive statistics, there is no hypothesis involved. Under inferential statistics, you are going to infer from the sample about your population. So it is always based on the hypothesis. Nominal data, it is used only for making the categories, used for identification, used for classification. Ordinal data, as the name suggests, it is used for rank, order. Interval, the difference, distance, it is equal. And ratio is the highest powerful tool. So in nutshell, if you want to prepare the questionnaire for your research, you should include maximum of interval and ratio based scale. Later on, if the need arises, you can convert the scale question into categorical questions. I hope this session it is clear to you and you have enjoyed this session also. Thank you so much all participants. Thank you so much HRDC UGC for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.